world of televangelism has always been filled with power, charisma, and an unshakable aura of authority. For decades, Jimmy Swaggart stood at the very center of that world, a man who built not only a ministry but an empire that reached millions across the globe through music, fiery sermons, and an unapologetic approach to preaching the gospel. But the man who once stood tall behind the pulpit is no more. And now, the question that haunts the faithful, the critics, and the curious alike is simple, yet chilling in its uncertainty. Why hasn't Donnie Swaggart, Jimmy's own son, claimed the ministry yet? It should have been the most natural transition. When a king falls, the heir steps forward. When a patriarch passes, the son assumes the mantle. In churches, ministries, and family dynasties across history, this has been the way of succession. But in the world of Jimmy Swaggart Ministries, something is not adding up. Weeks have passed since Jimmy's passing, and Donnie, though visibly emotional and present in services, has not made a bold declaration of leadership. He has not stood before the congregation and said, "I am your pastor now." He has not called a press conference to assure the world that JSM will continue under his guidance. Instead, what we see is silence. And silence, in a world that thrives on voices, is the loudest sound of all. Could it be hesitation? Could it be politics? Or could it be something far more dangerous, a hidden struggle behind the closed doors of Family Worship Center? For every moment Donnie delays, speculation grows. People whisper in pews. Viewers across television screens wonder. And within the halls of Baton Rouge, the tension thickens. But to truly understand why Donnie has not seized the ministry, we must first peel back the layers of history that surround this family. For Jimmy's empire was not simply built on preaching. It was built on blood, sweat, tears, and family loyalty. And now, as the founder's seat lies empty, the battle for control is quietly raging. Donnie Swaggart has been at Jimmy's side for decades. He preached under him, traveled with him, and stood as the natural successor in the eyes of many. Yet Donnie has always carried the shadow of comparison. He was never quite his father. His voice was different. His preaching style was different. While Jimmy commanded audiences with thunder and fire, Donnie carried a quieter flame. To some, this made him less appealing. To others, it made him more approachable. But whether one admired him or not, the fact remained: Donnie was not Jimmy. And then, there is Gabriel. Gabriel Swaggart, Jimmy's grandson, has slowly been stepping into the limelight for years. Through his Generation of the Cross program and his youthful energy, Gabriel has been seen by many as the bridge to the younger generation. People look at Gabriel and see possibility, a fresh face, a new voice, a continuation of the Swaggart name with modern relevance. In fact, in some circles, Gabriel has already been crowned as the next in line. So where does this leave Donnie? The uncomfortable truth may be that Donnie's hesitation is not just personal, it's political. Within JSM, there are likely factions, whispers, and preferences. Some want Donnie because he is the son of Jimmy. Others want Gabriel because he is younger and appeals to modern audiences. And still, there are those who quietly suggest that neither should lead, that perhaps an entirely different figure, someone outside the immediate Swaggart bloodline, should take the reign. This raises a haunting possibility. Is Donnie's silence not a choice, but a trap? Imagine for a moment the weight that sits upon his shoulders. If he claims the ministry, he risks backlash from those who believe Gabriel should lead. If he waits too long, he risks being seen as weak or incapable. And if he does nothing at all, the ministry risks being torn apart by division. In every direction, there are dangers. And perhaps this is why Donnie has yet to make his move. But there is another layer, one that few dare to mention aloud: Frances Swaggart. Yes, Jimmy's widow still carries enormous influence within the ministry. For decades, she stood by Jimmy's side, not just as his wife, but as the quiet but firm administrator of the empire. Frances has been the keeper of the books, the overseer of order, and the stabilizer in times of chaos. Even now, after Jimmy's passing, many believe that Frances still has the final word in major decisions. Could it be that Donnie has not claimed leadership because Frances has not given the signal? Could it be that the matriarch is quietly deciding who should lead the next era of JSM? If this is the case, then Donnie's hesitation is not weakness, but obedience. He may be waiting for his mother's nod, her blessing, her command. And yet, time is running out. Meanwhile, Gabriel continues to rise. His sermons are shared online. His youthful charisma pulls in audiences who may have otherwise drifted away. And with every passing day, people ask themselves, why not Gabriel? Why not now? But the question of capability looms heavy. For while Gabriel is loved, admired, and fresh, is he truly ready to handle the weight of an empire? Preaching to a crowd is one thing, managing a global ministry worth millions of dollars is another. Leading a Sunday service is one thing, negotiating contracts, handling scandals, and navigating the politics of faith is another. Is Gabriel capable, or is he still a prince too young to wear the crown? And so, the tension deepens. Donnie waits, Gabriel rises, Francis decides, the congregation watches, and the world speculates. But what if, and this is the possibility that shakes the very foundation, what if neither Donnie nor Gabriel ends up leading? What if the Swaggart dynasty, after all these decades, chooses an outsider? There are whispers of board members, of trusted pastors within Family Worship Center, of figures who may not carry the Swaggart name but who carry influence nonetheless. Could the ministry take a shocking turn and hand leadership to someone unexpected? Could JSM survive such a move without fracturing? And more importantly, would the loyal followers accept it? The question then is not simply why hasn't Donnie claimed the ministry yet? The question is, what is happening behind the curtain that we are not being shown? Because every moment of silence tells a story, and right now, that silence is deafening. The silence around Donnie Swaggart has become its own sermon. A sermon not spoken with words, but with the heavy weight of what is left unsaid. People have noticed it in the service's broadcast on Sun Life Broadcasting Network. Donnie still preaches. He still quotes the scriptures with passion. He still raises his voice when denouncing sin. And he still carries the look of a man who has lived inside the pulpit his entire life. Yet, if you listen carefully, there is an absence. He has not declared ownership. He has not stood up and said, as of now, I am the leader of Jimmy Swaggart Ministries. And that absence is louder than anything else. Viewers across the world tune in expecting answers. They write emails. They call the prayer lines. They whisper in Facebook groups. Why hasn't Donnie claimed it yet? Some defend him. He is grieving. Give him time. Others doubt him. Maybe he is not strong enough to lead. And then there are those who say what many secretly think. Maybe Francis doesn't want him to lead. Because in the world of JSM, no one moves without Francis. It may be hard for outsiders to understand, but within the ministry, Francis has always been more than just Jimmy's wife. She has been the iron hand behind the scenes. When Jimmy fell into scandals in the late 80s and 90s, who stood firm? Who held the finances together? Who refused to let the empire completely collapse? Francis. When donors threatened to leave, when staff began to question, when networks pulled away, Francis was the one who said, "We keep going." And they did. So now, as the patriarch has passed, many believe the matriarch is deciding. And Donnie, though a grown man with decades of preaching experience, may still be waiting for his mother's permission to step forward. But here lies the dilemma. Time is not on their side. Every day that passes without clarity, the ministry looks more unstable. Donors begin to question where their money is going. Viewers wonder if the Swaggart empire is slowly crumbling. And rivals, yes, rivals in the televangelism world, watch closely, ready to take advantage of any sign of weakness. The religious world is competitive. Every ministry wants viewers, wants donations, wants loyalty. If JSM falters now, others will swoop in. This is why Donnie's silence feels so risky. Because silence creates a vacuum. And a vacuum always gets filled, sometimes with voices you don't want. But let us talk about Gabriel again. Gabriel is not silent. He continues to preach, continues to host programs, continues to engage with younger audiences who see in him a reflection of their own struggles. He wears the Swaggart name proudly, but he doesn't carry the same old scars. While Jimmy bore the weight of scandal and Donnie carries the burden of comparison, Gabriel is still fresh. He is the clean face of the dynasty, and that makes him both powerful and dangerous. Powerful, because he can reach people Donnie never could. Dangerous, because his rise might spark jealousy, division, and even betrayal. Families that mix blood and power are never safe from rivalry. History tells us this. From royal dynasties to church empires, the greatest battles are never fought outside. They are fought within. Is the Swaggart family now standing at the edge of such a battle? It is possible. Some say Francis leans toward Donnie, out of loyalty and tradition. Others say she sees Gabriel as the future, and may secretly be grooming him. And then, there are those who whisper that Francis might not want anyone to fully lead, preferring to keep the ministry under her hand as long as she lives. After all, why hand over the keys when you still sit in the house? But that strategy comes with a cost, because a ministry without a clear leader looks weak, and weakness is the one thing JSM cannot afford. Now, let us address another burning question. Is Donnie even capable of handling this empire? This is not an attack on his preaching. for many love his sermons. This is not a critique of his faith, for he has stood loyal through storms. This is about management. JSM is not just a pulpit, it is a multi-million-dollar organization with television contracts, publishing arms, music divisions, real estate holdings, and international partnerships. Leading such a ministry is not simply about quoting scripture, it is about making decisions that can build or break the entire empire. Donnie, by nature, has always been more of a preacher than a manager. He has not shown the same administrative control that Francis mastered, or the visionary fire that Jimmy once carried. This is not to say he cannot lead, but the hesitation is noticeable. Meanwhile, Gabriel's appeal continues to spread. Viewers write, "Gabriel connects with us." Youth groups say, "He feels more like us." Some even believe Gabriel could be the Joel Osteen of Baton Rouge, rebranding the Swaggart name for a new era. But here again lies the risk. Is Gabriel spiritually strong enough? Is he wise enough? The stage is not just a platform, it is a battlefield. And many fear Gabriel is still too untested to fight the wars his grandfather once fought. So, between Donnie's hesitation and Gabriel's inexperience, the ministry finds itself at a crossroads. And let us not forget the shadow possibility. Someone else entirely. There are respected voices within Family Worship Center who could, in theory, step forward. Pastors who have been loyal for decades, elders who know the operations inside out, men and women who have preached, counseled, and carried the ministry. His burdens quietly while the spotlight shined on the Swaggarts. Could Francis appoint one of them as a caretaker leader? Could JSM shift away from family-only leadership for the first time in history? If that happens, it would be nothing short of shocking. Because the Swaggart brand has always been its power. Remove the name, and what remains? Would the followers still donate? Would the viewers still watch? Or would loyalty evaporate overnight? This is why the silence is so dangerous. Every scenario looks like a gamble. If Donnie steps up, he faces critics who doubt his strength. If Gabriel steps up, he faces those who doubt his readiness. If someone else steps up, the entire foundation of the ministry could shake. And so the question grows darker. Could it be that Jimmy never truly prepared anyone to succeed him?